Lucian, excuse me. Thinking of, I got short erase on my mind, man. That Lee Sin play. But Lucian, obviously, one of MabreyBaby's most played AD carries, and then Syndra taken it away from Goldenglue. He's the control mage that they like to see, the Oriannas, the Syndras, and even a little assassin thrown in from his Zed. But from last week's play on that Zed, it's a little shoddy.
Little shaky, yeah. CompLexity White in general was pretty shaky last week in their victory over Monster Kittens. They actually took that one 2-1. Monster Kittens came in. They weren't a very well-known team, and CompLexity White had a lot of trouble with that. They actually fell in that second game to a long series, and that was pretty painful to watch for them. So we'll have to see if they fix some of their issues. Curse Academy, I know they've been practicing a lot. The one thing to look out for, though, is Keane had to go back to New Zealand, I believe, to get his visa renewed because he played in the Oceanic scene, and he was actually gone for a little bit. So Curse Academy was scrimming with Big Fat LP for a while in that little stint where he was having to renew his visa. So we'll have to see if that's going to affect them, not having as much practice time as they could have with Keane. But we'll see.
Also, another big matchup is Hauntzer versus Weestrice. Can't forget about them. But with the bans rounding out, we're going to see Orianna and Thresh taken away, as well as the Irelia. So some good overall bans taken away from Bunny FuFuu, especially his Thresh. Phenomenal. We've seen highlight videos of him and Gosu, you know, just doing some crazy Thresh plays. But Corki will be picked up for Cop as one of the safer AD carries for him. But Weestrice gets the Rumble, and then Jayce is possibly going to be going over to Goldenglue in the mid lane. Most likely. I don't know if they're going to swap it and go Rumble mid. That'd be highly unlikely, but it'd be funny to see. Yeah,
of course, these bans make a lot of sense. The Thresh you mentioned, Bunny FuFuu, and of course, Irelia. Weestrice, that's been his... Irelia and Gnar have been his most played champions in, well, last week when we saw them play against Monster Kittens in their scrims and in their ranked 5. So that's definitely a warranted ban. And of course, Saintvicious, Jarvan, he's one of the few junglers in the challenger scene to still default to the Jarvan over, say, like a Lee Sin or a Kha'Zix. That seems to be one of his go-to champions, which is not as likely because we see like
Lee Sin,
players like Lee Sin, Kha'Zix. So it's interesting to see his sort of play style in that, and he also actually plays a lot of Nunu. And we talked about this, and you said, I don't know if we'll get to see the Nunu. But I wouldn't be surprised if Saintvicious brings it out because they've been practicing a lot. They've revolved a lot of team comps around Cop in some of their rank 5s and scrims, and we'll have to see if that's going to work out for them, but a little bit different in this game.
Yeah. So we'll see the Janna that join the crew, as well as the Zed and Kassadin. So throwing in two pretty big burst assassins in that combination. You get the Death Mark, you're able to Rift Walk as well. A lot of distance coverage between these two picks. And then on the other side of CompLexity White, we're going to see the Lee Sin picked up for Kez, as well as maybe going on the
Ezreal.
Blonde Locks of Ezreal.
Yeah.
That's interesting to put up against Corki. We're going to see the two Trinity Force makers coming into play, unless they rush IEs first, which would be weird, but Trinity Force is a staple item either way. And then to join it, Lohpally is going to be on the Nami. We've seen that be a good response to Janna. Ebb and Flow healing out a lot of the harass and keeping them sustained through a lot of the damage.
Yeah, MabreyBaby, or Impactful as some of you may know him more as, is one of the last guard of Ezreal in the challenger and professional scene. He actually plays quite a bit of it, and we actually talked about this last week. Misfortune as well is a pocket pick that Impactful is not afraid to bring out.
I mean, it'd be kind of risky.
It'd be kind of risky, but in situations like this, it can be sometimes a benefit to you to maybe bring out something unexpected in the first game, but I still think Ezreal's a little bit unexpected as well. The Lucian was off the table. Cop picked up the Corki for himself. I think Ezreal's actually a great choice. And people thought that, hey, well, if Trinity Force is great on Corki, since that's come back a lot in the recent times of the challenger scene, why not Ezreal?
Why not Ezreal indeed? So tell us what you think about these picks. Do you think the Ezreal versus Corki matchup is going to be fun? Tweet at us at LOL Esports #LCS expansion, and we'll check those out when we're done with the game, see who you think is going to win. But we have the game ready for you guys, and we'll get that on the screen as soon as possible for you. This is going to be Game 1 between Curse Academy and CompLexity White. CompLexity White, last hope for Cole to make it into the LCS or to at least advance to that LAN stage with the other 4 teams, as you already have one decided in the Final 5, who I don't think anybody was expecting. Actually, I would have expected it, but a lot of people aren't fans of the underdogs. And there we go. We're on to the Rift now, and this is going to be an exciting game.
Yeah, we haven't seen Curse Academy in a while, and we just saw with CompLexity Black, just because you get that automatic seed doesn't necessarily mean that you are the stronger team. So really look for CompLexity White to try and make big moves here. And I think Zyrene and Pyra touched on it a little bit earlier. CompLexity White has sort of kept a lot of the support staff from the CompLexity organization as far as coaches and management goes. So maybe they're coming into this tournament a bit more prepared than Complexity Black, but we'll have to see if that's going to pay off.
All right, so a little bit of poke coming in from Lohpally and FuFuu. You see them coming out ahead, though. They got to be careful, though. This could be very dangerous. No slows, though. There's already one exhaust and a heal actually used, so they're going to get the safety using that extra little bit of speed burst. A ward comes out, and that's going to be an overall trade win heavily in the favor of Curse Academy. Wow.
Yeah, exhaust for basically nothing. That was just Complexity White being a little bit out of position really early on. And Curse Academy just showing their cards and saying, hey, we're just going to chase you out of this river.
And that's a lot of scary potential you got to look out for. Without heal and exhaust, the trades could be a bit of a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, so it looks like pretty standard. Other than that, they got Curse Academy got the deep ward on the blue buff, and of course Complexity White got the deep ward on the blue buff of the enemy. So looks like these guys are going to have plenty of vision and plenty of information early on to see where these junglers are going to start. Now, Kez is a big jungler to talk about here. He plays Lee Sin a little bit differently than a lot of Lee Sin players. He goes Sightstone first on almost every jungler he plays. Lee Sin, that's a pretty normal, pretty standard, but he plays it really vision and really support heavy. He doesn't like to go for super aggressive ganks. He likes to make sure that his lanes are set up and safe, and then go for a counter gank with the vision that he provides. And it worked out pretty well for them last week. But we'll have to see up against the jungler in Saintvicious, who's sort of very similar to him, but maybe a little bit more aggressive. I'm excited to see how these junglers are going to match up, especially early on in this game.
A little bit earlier, you saw that Trinket Ward die, so they didn't give the timing on the blue buff, unfortunately. We saw some good use of that from the final 5, and that'll give some safety to Kez, as they did get the timer for it, and helps him out quite a bit. This lane up top, we saw Kenny Yu have a tough time against Rux. He blessed out pretty hard there to the Rumble against Kassadin matchup, so we'll see if it stays true with Weestrice versus Hauntzer. And early aggression, what do you think? You gonna see Saint ganking quite a bit?
Yeah, Saint is known to be really aggressive early on champions that he's comfortable with, like the Jarvan. But we'll have to see if he opens up, if there's any opportunities that open up for him, because we said Kez just likes to control that early game and likes to keep his lane safe, and that's really important for champions like, or for players like Goldenglue, who like to, look at him right now, like to play pushed up in lane, like to play aggressive, like to play risky style. And if they get Goldenglue ahead, you can see it in their play style when that happens. Complexity White as a team, it's like something clicks. Goldenglue seems to be what the team is centered around a lot of the times.
And the spot lane, been trading back and forth. The heals are coming out from Lohpally. He's got to be careful, though. He's got to manage that mana, even with the help of mana regeneration coming out of... oh, man. It's not the Frost Queen's claim. I just keep thinking that, but it's okay. And, you know, the extra AP helps out quite a bit for both of these supports. The shield's coming in from Janna as well. On-cop mitigating the Mystic shots from... We've seen him just tank it up and just throw out a Phosphorus Bomb in response. And they're both actually stacking up quite a bit of money from the passive there.
Yeah, both these lanes are really passive. The AD carries both have reliable escapes, maybe not Valkyrie as much, and both supports have really strong disengage power. So I don't think, whoa, Impactful could be in trouble here.
They don't have heal still. It's on cooldown. They're going to get a knock up from the flag and drag a bunch of damage from the Phosphorus Bomb. Look at that damage on top of it. MabreyBaby going to be able to Essence Shift and flash himself to safety. So that's the pick of Ezreal coming to effect there. He's got a lot of maneuverability, and gotta say that was pretty good use of it. But now flash down, Saint could just loop around.
Yeah, what a great gank there by Saint. He actually came all the way around there, made sure that he had vision up the river. And that's just sort of an oversight by this bottom lane Complexity White, but they get a flash out of it. Don't give up first blood, but that should give Cop and Bunny FuFuu a lot of room in that lane to be able to bully out, and Corki should be able to have the upper hand against Ezreal. It's just all going to come down to which jungler's going to have more of an impact down there bottom lane. Right now, Saintvicious is winning that war.
All right, so in terms of farm, though, you know, they're keeping even. Kez is farming up a Storm. He almost has his Sightstone, so we'll see him probably pick that up as soon as possible. He's got the Spirit Stone, though. So actually, foregoing it. All right, you're wrong in the prediction there.
This is the first, man.
No Sightstone for him.
I haven't seen Kez build anything other than a Sightstone first item for a long time. So
it's the evolution.
If this is, well, Kez, you're out of control right now. Bring it down a notch, buddy.
All right, so that's actually rather interesting. And MabreyBaby picks up an early tier. So looking possibly for, he actually could go for a blue build here, get the Manamune, and go straight towards that Miramana as fast as possible. Yeah,
ramping it up quite a bit, and it sort of fits their style of composition here.
Yeah, with Goldenglue on the Jayce as well.
Yeah, they could definitely do some really great work with sieging, especially Rumble and Nami provide fantastic counter engage, which is one of the best things that this composition does. They can find picks with the Lee Sin or the Rumble, and even the Nami with her bubble, but at the same time, they have the flexibility to be able to just siege up and then counter-engage if Curse Academy tries anything risky.
Oh, Keane,
here comes
actually,
Kez!
He got slowed there from the skies as Kez comes on in, though. Trying to secure a kill on a Jayce, on a Zed this early is pretty hard.
Yeah, he's pretty tricky to lock down, but still, that's going to force him back. Goldenglue's in a great spot in that lane. You can see right away that Complexity White controlling vision across that river. A very early pink ward on that top side pixel brush, that top side single brush there. So that should give them quite a bit of value because you can see all the wards around the banana bush and sometimes even reach almost as far as the river bush as well, or the lane bush. So Kez already trying to control that vision.
At this level 6, Hauntzer goes on in. He's going to go in with the blades, and he can actually try to pick up this first blood here. Rift Walk up in a couple seconds, and the flash force that he flashes Chase after. Here comes the equalizer. He won it! Weestrice. Oh, man.
Wow. Just hit 6, goes in. That was just a duel.
That creep dying was a miracle for him.
Yeah. He timed the flash perfectly to make sure that he barely got out of range of Hauntzer and lived with a scrap of HP left. And that's going to be a big deal for him. He was starting to get bullied around a little bit in that lane by Hauntzer's Kassadin. And that kill's really going to turn things around.
Saint's coming on. He's level 5. He's going to try to do what he can. Flagging the dragon to safety, though, this time. Bubble comes on in. Saint's got to be careful. Going to get slowed up a little bit by the ebb and flow and the Tie-Caller's blessing. And even Keane was looking to rotate around.
Yeah, the longer that Impactful or MabreyBaby stays in this game, as long as he just stays close to the CS numbers of Cop, he's going to ramp up super hard if he's going for the build that we think he's going, and starts to get that Mana Moon stacking, and really starts to get going. Then he should be able to outscale Cop once we get to the super late game. But it's all going to come down to when all that happens, and Cop's really going to have that huge power spike in the mid-game.
That damage coming in from the Haunting guy is going to be able to just shred down Hauntzer, bring him down to half. And Hauntzer, you may not know too much about him if you haven't kept up the challenger scene. He's one of the best top laners. That's why he was picked up by Curse Academy. He is very, very efficient, and you saw he was trying to be calculated in that play. He just didn't expect that level 6. But don't count this guy out. Kassadin late game is going to be a nuisance, and Weestrice, even with First Blood, he's still down just a little bit in the creeps. It's like a one margin. Yeah,
Hauntzer was part of LoL Pro in the North American Challenger Series playoffs in the 2014 season, and was a big catalyst in a lot of their victories, and one of the few top laners left in the Challenger Series that can call himself a carry top laner, because he can really carry from that top lane position, which is pretty rare these days.
And Saint, he's been linking around mid, though. There's some beautiful word coverage from the side of Complexity White that's been spotting him out, and even he's trying to poke away at this dragon, just been maybe trying to hint at doing it. And that pink ward, man, spots him out, so still, Goldenglue can play perfectly safe, sit back, use that blue buff, and stack his tier.
Yeah, and I'm eating my words right now because Kez actually picked up a longsword as well before he even got the Ruby Crystal for the Sightstone. So maybe Kez is switching up a little bit. Maybe he's going for that more aggressive style. He still hasn't really tried much for ganks. He's fallen a little bit far behind, and Saintvicious on farm as well. So maybe not the best style for him, but we'll have to see how that's going to work out, going straight for that Spirit of the Elder Lizard. Foregoing the Sightstone, which is very unlike Kez.
It's been a bait the entire time. He's been keeping teams off guard. He's like, I'm just going to build a Spirit Stone until I hit this point in the expansion tournament.
Teams are going to scout me, and I'm going to say Sightstone first every game, so they're not going to want to gank, and then I'm just going to hit him with the aggression.
And then they're like, oh, wait a minute, what? He's got full damage. I can't do anything. And, okay, so now that level 6 has been achieved from both junglers, that's when the ultimates are online, and we're going to see them possibly go even more aggressive. Or hopefully, as, you know, the game, it can stay on for this point when both of these Manamunes and Miramanos come online. That's where Curse Academy has to be very scared. And now, Saint gonna initiate this early dragon, and there's no ward spotting it out. So this looks like it could be free for the side of Curse Academy.
Yeah, this is just a nice move by them. They pushed the wave into the bottom turret. So basically, Complexity White was forced to make the decision, do we stay here and clear the wave, or do we send the support out on a very risky mission to get a ward on that dragon?
Rule 18, just send the support out.
That seems to be what these challenger guys like to do, but Complexity White, I guess, playing it safe. They probably knew that was happening based on the lanes going back, and even Hauntzer up top started to back off just in case he was needed for the teleport, and then canceled it to go back to the lane and try and get CS. And when a top laner starts backing to base with full health like that, and the bottom lane goes missing, it's almost positive. They're almost positive that the dragon is being taken by the enemy team. So pretty telegraphed by Curse Academy here.
And Ken's coming on in, finally to clear out that pink ward that Saint dropped quite a while. counter out Kez's ward, and they really like taking over that spot, man. Gonna get sight of the wraiths, check the timing of the red, and they're gonna even get a deeper ward from Lohpally. So.
Yeah, this is really impressive ward coverage by them. They're going to be able to spot out Saintvicious no matter where he goes on this map, so they can telegraph where he's going to go with his ganks. Unfortunately, maybe that vision came a little late because the Dragon was taken, but right now they're playing pretty proactively as far as stopping Saintvicious from making an impact on these other lanes.
Yeah, Kez, he's just been going around, man. This Blind Monk can spot out quite a lot of wards.
Yeah.
And he's taking out quite a few in their jungle and just taking full control. We saw them do this when they were playing to play against Curse Academy. I forget the team that they were playing beforehand, but just jungle control, jungle control. Now Deathmark comes on in towards Goldenglue. The Shuriken's connected. He's going to pop, and the Ignite's still doing a bunch. He knocks him back into the turret, but using that Deathmark to go back in, and the fadeaway Shock Blast isn't going to connect.
He barely lives there.
Oh, but wow! Weestrice, he TP'd in behind him on that ward, hugging the wall, and he's going to be able to pick up that counter kill.
So that actually worked out really well. I thought Goldenglue was in a lot of trouble. He had a little bit of a rough flash. I think it was sort of a panic flash.
Kez just walked in. Wow. Bubble doesn't connect though. Tidal Wave comes out, and they're just going to strafe away from that. Kez is still looking for something. Bloodthirst in his eyes, but Saintvicious is there.
Yeah, so that mid lane, I mean, they blew both summoners. It looked like Goldenglue could have been in trouble because of his weird flash positioning, but I guess Keane just didn't see him coming. Keane's a player. Keane and Goldenglue are both players that can take risk. Uh-oh, Saintvicious puts on the ward.
Oh, he already backed out. Okay.
Wow, he got over there quick.
Yeah, he just went straight from bot to blue. Little battle for the pink ward coming on out here. FuFuu going to keep it alive for just a bit. And now it looks like they caught out Saint, but he'll just flag and drag away. He's still slowed, but Kez looking for the Sonic Wave does connect. Saint let that hit him. Trying to bait Kez in with the Lee Syndrome, and Hauntzer now coming in, trying to take down Goldenglue like Ken. Keane is going to pick up that kill. Cataclysm on top of Weestrice. He has his flash, but they don't care. Saint is going to go down. Weestrice on that killing spree. Kez is trying to get out, kicking back Hauntzer. Coming in with the flashing Night Buddy. FuFuu, the bloodthirsty Janni, picks up the kill, but his life might be forfeit. They use the
we got him!
Oh, harpoons with the ultimate coming in from Ezreal, that true shot barrage.
Yeah, so that's going to be a 2-for-2 trade, so not really much happening for both teams here. You look at the gold, it's exactly even right now. So these teams are basically just trading things back and forth. Curse Academy did take that dragon, but CompLexity White has a couple kills up. Now the big thing to look out for is Weestrice here. He has 3 kills now. He's already completed.
Leandries.
Yeah, Leandries and Sork Shoes. So he is definitely doing a whole lot of damage right now. And that mid-game power spike, once he hits that level 11, it's going to be really hard for CompLexity to lose a team fight unless Weestrice completely whiffs his equalizer, because that level 11 equalizer is such a huge team fight swing if you place it even in a decent position. So CompLexity White probably is going to want to look to towards this next dragon fight, and MabreyBaby as well, impactful. It's also scaling up pretty well, so they should be in a good spot.
Yeah. So Dragon is going to be coming up relatively soon, about a minute or two, I believe. It's been a while since they killed it, but now they're trying to get some aggressive control with these wards in the blue side of the jungle for CompLexity White. Curse Academy trying to pull a Kez here, and they're actually in that brush. I believe Saint was trying to bait them out, but they already saw him clear the ward, so they decided not to go too far.
Yeah, you can see Saintvicious is doing a lot better of a job of keeping up with vision, but at the same time keeping up with farm of his jungle camps. 59 CS to 41 CS. He's got a Sightstone in boots compared to just the completed Spirit of the Elder Lizard. So maybe Kez is just not used to going with this build because he spent a lot of gold actually just buying straight up sight wards.
Yeah, that's
which is not as gold efficient as going with his normal Sightstone build. And he hasn't really had an effect on this map, where Saintvicious has just been placing wards, making sure they're okay on the vision game, but at the same time making sure that he keeps up with the farm in his camps.
So Manamunes are online. A lot of blue coming out from this team of CompLexity White. So you're going to see when they get to that mid to late game stage where those Manamunes have transforms, that's going to be really hard to deal with.
Blue build Ezreal, more like blue build team here. They got both Manamunes are going to be stacked up, like you said, and even Weestrice is getting in on the blue action up there.
And he'll be looking for a Rylai's Crystal Scepter, so slowing people down as soon as possible. And Saint, man, he hasn't found any kills. He's got that 1 assist. He's still looking to keep this bot lane down. Weestrice still look at that damage. Flame Spitter and Leandries, man. Hauntzer doesn't have any magic resist yet, so he's just getting destroyed by the early Leandries.
Yeah, and with the recent nerfs to Kassadin, I guess they're not so recent anymore. You have to be really careful about how you use your Rift Walks as Kassadin. because you can get to a point where you're stuck in that 4-stack Rift Walk where it's just, it costs so much mana, almost your full mana pool at this stage in the game.
Look at this early rotation from Weestrice. They know.
Yeah, this is definitely, he's level 11. He has the equalizer available, so this is going to be big. And Curse Academy has to be so careful in this engagement here. They have to make sure that they don't get in a spot where they're just going to get obliterated by this Leandries and Sork Boots level 11 equalizer.
He missed the ward. There's a teleport coming in from Hauntzer though. Cataclysm on it too. The equalizer zoning out set just a bit, but they're going in. Double bubble doesn't matter as they kick back Keane, trying to keep themselves alive. Weestrice is shut down. That's going to be a big amount of gold for Keane, and it looks like it's just going to be a 2 for none. No, they're still going for more. Hauntzer trying to Rift Walk and get Kez. He's going to get a bunch of damage onto him. The Death Bar comes in from Keane, and they're trying to follow it up as much as possible. 4 for 1 in the favor of Curse Academy. A double kill for Coppins. That is not good.
Yeah, that is just really rough for CompLexity White, but you got to hand it to Saintvicious. One of his strengths as a jungler is finding engagements that he can just brute force. He's really good at pinpointing the right time to make an engagement happen. And CompLexity White was just completely out of position right there. MabreyBaby didn't have any say in that team fight. He was off to the side, way out of position, and Saintvicious just said, hey, we're going to go in right now, capitalize on them being out of position. And that equalizer from Weestrice was okay. It zoned out the backline, but it really was not a high-impact equalizer, which is what they needed in that team fight to be able to get Goldenglue and get MabreyBaby a part of it and come out on top. But CompLexity Academy takes a huge lead after that.
Yeah, 4 for 1. Great amount of kills going over to Cop now, who's on the killing spree, and they shut down Weestrice, and Keane picked up that money, so he's looking for his Blade of the Rune King as soon as possible. He's already got all the components he needs, but this Tier 1 mid is going to be forfeit, so trying to get what they can. That's the first turret of the game going down for CompLexity White.
Yeah, this team is a pretty good siege comp from CompLexity White with the Jayce and the Ezreal, but I can't help but feel that their wave clear is a little bit weak, and if they're behind in a game, they might have trouble dealing with it. They have good and disengaged. Oh, whoa, there's an equalizer.
The equalizer does a bit of damage. It's going to zone them back. Yeah, Keane gets chunked out a bit, but he's got some lifesteal. They try to get some poking out the Cop, but he just backs off and he's fine. But they're looking to re-engage here without the equalizer. Weestrice is going to be the main focus, and he'll go down. Cop is on a rampage. Hauntzer's trying to stay alive, and they get the double kill. Cop is going to be able to take down Kez. He gets bubbled and stopped for just a bit. They're trying to follow up on this. From this guy comes in, but Cop is just Valkyrying away, and look at all those flashing red bars. They can't pick up anything.
But again, Curse Academy takes a favorable trade, not losing a single member in that fight, and Weestrice getting a little bit trigger happy there. I don't know if that was miscommunication or what, but that equalizer was just not effective at all. They had 0 follow-up. Nobody really even took much damage from it, and it just allowed Curse Academy to say, hey, why their equalizer's not down? That's their huge disengage tool. That's their huge engagement tool. Let's just go on them. They're not going to be able to turn on us, and they did exactly that. In the last 2 team fights, MabreyBaby and Packpool has only shot out his ultimate in a couple Qs back and forth here, so he hasn't really done much. He's stacking his Manamune, but I mean, at this point, he's just getting so far behind. That mid spike from Cop is in full effect right now, and he's 5-0.
Yeah, and there's even, wait, Buddy FuFuu. Oh, he's a sneaky man. Picked up a Medjai's Soul Stealer. So trying to get as many assists as possible. It looks like he already has 2 stacks, so he's gonna try to not die the rest of this game and get that to 20.
Yeah, that's definitely becoming not a standard item on Janna, but if you're ahead in the game and you're confident in your Janna play and you're confident in your team's ability to stay ahead for the rest of the game, Janna is one of the best supports to build that Soul Stealer on, because you're just so safe. It's not very likely that they're going to die because you just have so many peel and disengage tools. And once you hit, I believe 6 stacks is like that sweet point where you get the efficiency, which is pretty easily available to a Janna player once you start racking up those assists.
Yeah, so just drop a shield, run out, and be like, oh, Keane picked up a triple. Now I got 3 stacks.
Yeah.
Sweet. But
making his teammates do the work for him, though.
It's kind of bad, though, if she starts dying, then she starts losing the stacks, and that item's just kind of sitting there. So we'll see what happens with that. Hauntzer, he's been a big part of this team. 0, 2, and 8. So many assists for this man. He's initiated quite a lot of fights, and oh man, he's been a huge impact. He's
been drawing a lot of focus fire, which is a big thing here, especially when they're going on to Weestrice. It seems Weestrice is the target for their initiations, just to get him out of the fight quickly, because he's the biggest threat on their team right now, especially in the mid game. So Hauntzer and Saintvicious have been just going straight for him every team fight, and Hauntzer's just been absorbing, especially with the Q now absorbing magical damage. He can just say, hey, just feel free to flame spitter my base, and I'll just take a lot of your damage, and my team's going to kill you.
That equalizer's pretty nice, though. It's going to trap them in the Cataclysm as Saintvicious forces the flash on. They try to chase in on him. They get the kick, they get the damage. Hauntzer can really go down. Kez will pick up that kill with the help of that. And in the Baron pit, wait a minute. Wow. He just pops. Baron helping out Keane pick up that kill, and the death mark was enough. Yeah,
Goldenglue just caught out of position once again there. He's just not having a great time this game. 0-3-2. It seems like he falls almost as soon as these team fights are starting up. So Keane now starting to ramp up as well. He's 3-1-4. He's a little bit behind on CS, but with the global objectives that Curse Academy has taken, I'm sure he's up in gold at this point. Now taking a tower. Curse Academy's in a fantastic spot right now.
Yeah, with that a rough 4,000 gold lead, they're just keeping a strong grasp on this early game. Now taking it to mid game and just keeping that Corki ahead.
Yeah, a little bit of fancy footwork from Keane there, showing off his shadow skills.
Shadow micro. But that's going to be the tier 1 going down bot as well. Cop picking up that last hit money, and he's got to have his last whisper really soon. He could also go for his Bloodthirster as soon as possible, try to get that big burst and even a shield to deal with a lot of this poke. 1 Mirror Mana is online for MabreyBaby as well, and I'm assuming Goldenglue is going to be very close.
I'm really impressed with Saintvicious so far this game. He's playing against this team comp from CompLexity really well, because he knows that if they get behind at any point, it's going to be tough for them because they're going to have a lot of trouble dealing with that siege. So he's making sure that he brute forces these hard engages on a team that he knows can't really handle it at certain points in the game. And he's just putting so much game pressure, not necessarily map pressure or kill pressure, just game pressure in general. He's got 30 CS over his jungle opponent. He hasn't really taken much lane CS. That's just from him more efficiently farming his camps. He's getting super tanky at this point, and he's just that big initiator for his team, and it's going to be really hard for CompLexity White to deal with it until they start getting ramped up a little bit more and start getting more of that poke out. But at the same time, Saintvicious is just going to start to get tankier and tankier, and that initiation from him is just going to start to get tougher and tougher to deal with.
And Keane also, he's feeling that split pushing role as he just keeps on staying down bot, dropping wards, keeping control of the blue buff, and he's going to be a nuisance. They can't 1v1 about this point. Youmuu's and Blade of the Ruined King completed, so just Deathmark and follow up with the Shuriken and you're dead. Yeah,
that's the sweet spot for Zed split push right there, those 2 items. And you can tell nobody wants to even go anywhere near that side of the map by themselves, especially not impactful. He's got a little bit of armor from the Iceborne Gauntlets, but still, he's going to get melted.
And this dragon is going to be a big point of contention as everybody's going on through. They're trying to clear out wards, and Hauntzer's positioning, Saintvicious' positioning as well. He wants to go on in here. He saw Goldenglue by himself. They looked for the Howling Gale to try to knock someone up, but they'll just start it up. There's no wards here, and CompLexity White, they're going to have to give it up, and there's no tier 1 in mid for them to go push, so they'll just move straight towards the tier 2 and try to take it down, but they have to watch their flank, man. This could be a devastating fight.
This could also be bad for Curse Academy, though. They're funneling into a position, but CompLexity White doesn't feel confident enough in their situation right now. They know they're behind in this game. They need to make perfect choices at this point in the game, or else they're just going to lose, because Curse Academy has such a big lead now, and they're the ones who are sort of controlling the flow of the map. So CompLexity White really needs to just make sure they play smart, play safe, and just take advantage of mistakes that Curse Academy might make. While I'm commending Saintvicious here for his game pressure so far in this game 1, at the same time, Saintvicious has been known in the past to make really risky engagements that don't pay off at all. So at any point in this game, Saintvicious can say, well, I'm going to go in for an EQ Cataclysm, bait 1 or 2 members of his team, and then a good equalizer can completely change, can equalize the game. So they really got to be careful, and CompLexity White is not out of this game by all means.
Nope, they have a lot of good wave clear. They can farm up and just keep trying to get their items. Abyssal Scepter looks like it's going to be for Weestrice as his 2nd item. And now he's down bot. He's going to look to chase on a cop here. Harpoon, wow, that did a surprising amount of damage. That Blasting Wand and Leandries, man, too strong.
So starting to slow down here. Curse Academy just sort of...
Whoa, Deathmark goes in onto MabreyBaby. Keane is going to chase him down, uses the flash. Deathmark is going to pop in before the True Shot Barrage comes out. Keane is going to be able to pick up that kill. The Equalizer, again, not fighting too much. Weestrice is going to get hit by the Howling Gale, and Cop is dominating 6-0. Looking to fit pretty well into this Curse Academy lineup.
Yeah, and it's pretty natural for him. He played with Saintvicious for a while, so they have that good sort of synergy working well there. Funny FuFuu as well had that little stint in the LCS last season, so these guys are just oozing with experience on this Curse Academy roster. And you can really tell they're just making smart decisions, making smart engagements. Keane as well. That's just a great plan by them to split push, because this sort of poke siege composition really just does not deal with split push, especially with assassins, because anybody that shows their face down there with Keane or up there if he's in the top lane is just going to get killed out instantly. You just saw right there, MabreyBaby just got focused down and killed, and now Curse Academy has almost a 10k goal lead in this game. Yeah,
once that last switch was completed too, geez, it's going to be so tough to deal with. Goldenglue getting crit down. Look at that damage coming out from Comp right now. Infinity Edge was completed. Hauntzer's TPing out it as well. There's the orb to spot them out. Comp is godlike. He's going to take down Goldenglue, and I honestly am not sure about this Comp.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough. I said it before. It's going to be super rough if they're behind. I think they made a Comp without taking into account what the enemy team could do. And that's never a smart idea, especially with as much on the line as they're doing right now. If they got ahead early on in this game, they would have been in a great position.
Weestrice goes in for a little bit of hash, drops the equalizer. Is that death mark enough? He connected the shurikens, and it'll pop from the ignite as well. Oh, no, wait. What hit him afterwards? I don't know, but it was enough for the death mark to secure the kill.
Yeah, I think he got the last shuriken from the shadow from behind him.
All right.
Maybe it was just the death mark itself, but a nice kill pickup. And now Keane and Cop are just huge at this point. CompLexity White can't even show their face anywhere that they don't have warded for the fear of just getting bopped pretty much by Keane or by Bunny FuFuu. Bopping those field mice. CompLexity White are the field mice right now.
I mean, field mice are going to have a tough time coming back in a game of League of Legends. I don't know how they grab a mouse, but mice using mouse.
Yeah.
Or mouse using mice. Either one of those terms. But tier 2s are getting pushed. There's only one more left in that mid lane, and Curse Academy can start making their way towards those inhibitors. That's where you start to have a really tough time.
Yeah, at this point, it's going to be maybe a little bit tough for them to dive just because of the tidal wave from Nami and the equalizer, but Kez's equalizers have, or sorry, Weestrice's equalizers have been just really underwhelming so far this game, and the bottom lane for CompLexity White just been non-existent.
MabreyBaby again. He's going to shift to the wall. The shuriken does not connect, and okay, he won't pop this time.
Yeah, escapes with his life this time, but Keane will be lurking in the shadows for him once again. Oh, the 2-for-1 special for Weestrice.
He won't be able to kill both, unfortunately.
I think he will. Oh, nope.
Nope. I've had that experience one too many a time as a support with a sweeping lens.
Yeah. You get so excited when you get those 2 wards.
You're like, oh, that's great, 30 gold. I can do this. And then you're left with only 15 in your pocket. So a lot of good control coming in here from the side of Curse Academy. They've completely taken over this jungle. So many wards across the board, and they're clearing out pinks too. So CompLexity, man, they're gonna have to have a miracle to come back into this. They both mirror manas. They have a lot of blue in their builds and trying to do what they can.
But at the same time, this team comp that they have just, it's so reliant on Weestrice to get a good equalizer. I can't stress that enough, because if they don't, this team has absolutely no comeback potential, but their comeback potential is very, very limited without a good way to engage a fight. They're just completely reliant right now on Curse Academy making a mistake. And it just doesn't seem like Curse Academy is in a mindset at all where they're going to make mistakes. They seem focused. Saintvicious is very decisive with his engagements. The team is trusting them. And this is just a 2-man Baron right now. They're sneaking it. CompLexity White is onto it, though.
This is questionable. We'll see. They have complete control, and Weestrice isn't there with an equalizer, so this might just be thrown on over here. Yeah. No one would really suspect that a Jarvan and a Corki could 2-man Baron, so they're going to get the buff for free.
This is 30 minutes into the game, and
there you go.
Cop is dangerously close to 3 items. He has enough gold for his 3rd item right now. So this is a big Corki right now for Cop. He's having a pretty good game right now. Pretty good is probably an understatement.
And Goldenglue securing his blue buff, almost running into Hauntzer. Now they just go from Baron to Dragon, and man, they've got over a 12,000 gold lead at 29.5 minutes.
Yep, that's pretty big, and Impactful's gonna shoot the ultimate over there, maybe just for a miracle steal, but at this point, a Dragon, that's just a drop in the bucket for CompLexity right now, and it's not going to do much in the ways of getting them back in this game. They don't even get it, so this is just looking so rough. And I mean, what can they do to get back in this game? It's so tough. I said they have to be able to capitalize on any mistake that Curse Academy makes, but at the same time, when it gets to a point where you're just so far down that it's hopeless, you just have to make risky plays. You have to try and go for engagements, because if you just sit there and let yourselves bleed out and let Curse Academy just slowly push in, get a couple inhibitors, then you're just going to be so demoralized going into the next game in this series if you do end up losing a long, drawn-out game like that. So you want to go out with a bang if you're going to go out at all and make some risky plays, try and make some risky engagements,
but you can't
and force
really,
Complexity's hand.
You can't really do that with a Lee Sin who wants to kick him back, and then an Ezreal and a Jayce who just want to keep poking.
Yeah, so I guess you got to go back to picks and bans. They should maybe go back to the drawing board. They're probably thinking about that in their heads right now just because they're so far down.
Yeah, honestly, I would just be thinking about next game, trying to do what I can in this game to just delay them as much as possible, think about the draft, or just keep trying to come back in this game. 14,000 gold, it's a big deficit, but
yeah,
if they do get the miracle fight, then by all means, it's going to be a 60-minute game and they'll try to come back.
They do have the tools to put a bad engagement on its back, so to speak. So if Saintvicious has a poor engagement,
look at that.
Oh,
Hauntzer comes in, Keane comes up as well. He's just going to go straight on in. Deathmark applied to Goldenglue, and it pops. Dominating coming out from Keane, and Hauntzer in the back as well, taking down Kez, and that's a 2-for-0, and I feel like this should be game. Hauntzer going forward, trying to take down MabreyBaby, and does force pulse for the kill. Double kill for this Kassadin, and Hauntzer, man, despite having that tough time and giving up first blood, came back in this game in a big, big way. Yeah,
they're just pushing in right now. There doesn't look to be a thing that Complexity White can do to come back into this one. They got the shields from Janna. They got the Baron buff. This looks like Chris Academy just really coming out strong in this first matchup here against Complexity White. And Complexity White's got to go back to the drawing board and come up with something better, because that comp and everything was just pretty underwhelming coming out from them.
I'm not sure I like it.
Yeah.
Poke is great, don't get me wrong, but when you're running into a Zed and then you're running into a Kassadin who can chase you down,
yeah,
when you only have Gate and then Essence Shift to get away as the two main carries who are trying to facilitate all that poke and do what they can, there's nothing you can really do. So that's going to be the first game going over to Cursed Academy.
Yeah.
And Complexity White, they have to pull Taylor Swift. Just shake it off.
Shake it
just
off.
Go move straight into the second game. Think about the picks and bans. Think about what they did wrong and just work on it. Be like, all right, so